In this video, I'm going to go through every single setting that you need to set up in your Facebook ads account. A lot of this is going to be broken down in further videos, but I just want to make sure that you have kind of like the dictionary, so to speak, of all settings. And I'm going to give my commentary throughout this. Also want to mention, I'm going to move very quickly throughout this because a lot of this is redundant and very little of it is highly impactful, but these are good things for you to know and understand how they work. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So I'm just going to start on the campaign setup here. Basically, when we first set up our campaign specifically for e-commerce, there's multiple buying types, which are reservation and auction, and then there's campaign objectives. In all cases, we are using the auction buying type because reservation is for mass awareness campaigns only. And then we are selecting the sales objective. Technically, if you're a lead gen, you can go with a lead gen campaign objective, but this is geared mostly to e-commerce. And in this case, I'm always selecting the sales objective. Sales objective, as it mentions here, are specifically good for 4 things, but I really only care about 2, which are catalog sales and conversion campaigns. So inside our actual campaign setup, as we already selected in our campaign details, we have the auction, we have campaign objective as sales. And then if you wanted to set a campaign spending limit, basically what this does is very simple. Campaign spending limit allows you to select a budget, which I'll show you here, that is the total spend this campaign could ever spend. I don't ever set these, but if you have a very strict reason why a campaign can only spend a certain amount, go ahead and set up a campaign spending limit. It's fine to do during like sale periods if you want. Next big toggle here is Advantage Plus Catalog Ads. If you select this, all that's going to happen is a catalog is going to be selected. I know it's blurred out, but that's just a catalog name right here. Make sure that's your correct catalog name if you do select this. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to force all the ads that you create to be catalog ads. You'll see here that my ads are now catalog ads. And you can see, even if I select single image or carousel, it is still a catalog ad. I don't have the ability to upload videos here because we are selecting at the campaign level that this is an Advantage Plus catalog campaign. Whether you do that or not is very much up to you. If you have very little creative, then running catalog ads is a great thing to do. Even if you have a lot of creatives, testing some catalog ads is still a powerful thing to do. But the thing is even if you don't select it here, you can still go to the ad set and you can select at the ad level, not at the ad set, at the ad level, you can select catalog ads so that you can have a combination of catalog ads and normal ads in your campaign. So if you select it at the campaign level, then everything is catalog. If you select it at the ad level, then you can mix and match how you please. Next is budget. Now, I talk a lot about budget, specifically budget strategy. I'll give this very simple. There's campaign budget and there's ad set budget. I often refer to campaign budget as CBO and ad set budget as ABO, campaign budget optimization, ad set budget optimization. Simply put, when you run a campaign budget, Facebook distributes your budget according to where it thinks it's going to provide the most value for you. If you run an ad set budget, you as a human being, as an operator, are deciding where you want the cash to go. In almost all cases at this stage, campaign budget will outperform ad set budget. And even if you are like really in need of control for some reason, running campaign budget while simply putting some triggers in place, which I will show you in the next section here, allows you to still have control with campaign budget. There's almost, I don't want to say none, but almost no reason, very little reason to run ad set budget at this stage unless you're extremely high ticket, like multiple $1,000s per order. Okay, let's get rid of that. I think this is pretty straightforward, but there's daily budgets and lifetime budgets. Daily budgets is going to basically spend this number every single day like clockwork. Sometimes it can go upwards, but on a week, you will only spend that number times 7. 25 times 7 is 175. If you select lifetime budget, you then need to have start and end dates, but the core thing about a lifetime budget is it's going to spend a specific amount of the budget over a specific time period. There is one advantage of running a lifetime budget, but there's also disadvantages. The one advantage of running a lifetime budget is, if you look here, if I have daily budget on, I'm not actually able to click this button here for ad scheduling. However, if I have lifetime budget on, I can click this button for ad scheduling, which means I now can click this guy here, run ads on a set schedule. And when I go into my ad set, I'm able to edit what times and what days of the week I want to run my campaigns. The few brands that we run lifetime budget with are brands that have extremely, extremely low sales on certain days of the week. For example, like one B2B business that we work with basically does no sales Saturday and Sunday. Like I'm talking like 2% of their sales happen on Saturday and Sunday. So we don't run ads on Saturday and Sunday because, and because of that, we run lifetime budgets. So what we do in this case is we set a monthly lifetime budget. And then instead of restarting the campaign over and over and over again, what we do is at the very end of that month, the day before the budget ends, we just increase the budget to add on top of it, right? Now, look, if you are a normal e-commerce business, which is going to be 99% of people listening to this, so don't think you're special and do something you don't need to do. The better thing to do in most cases is to run a daily budget. With a daily budget, you now have the ability to use budget scheduling, which allows you to increase your budget during certain better performing days of the week. You could also do times of day here. I'll admit this functionality is not as good as ad scheduling, which I wish was available for everyone. But ultimately, it's still a tool where we can pulse up if we know that we have strong moments or better days of the week. I also go through a full day of week analysis video in the advanced operations, which you can find, but don't skip ahead there. Not only get through this, but get through all of the frameworks and stuff first, for sure. Okay, moving forward, A/B test. I have never set up an A/B test right here. I have always done it inside the campaign, inside the ads manager, which is something you would do by going into your campaign. You would select a specific campaign that's already running and you would click A/B test from here. But I'll just show you guys how this functions because it's basically the same thing. If I click create an A/B test, we're going to select what we want to test. In almost all cases, I'm testing custom. How long should we run this test for? 7 is far too short. I can't believe they recommend that. However long you want to test it for, but in many cases, just keep it long. 28 days is fine. And then how you want to compare your result. In many cases, you should go with cost per result or cost per purchase. You cannot use ROAS in this case, which most people would want to do. And in this case where it's an A/B test, again, this is kind of weird how they set it up here. In the normal A/B testing structure, you would select your 2 campaigns that you want to test against each other. It would set these up as 1 and 2. You would then be able to go through the quick workflow here to A/B test these. The beautiful part about a hard A/B test is it splits your audience out. So in this case, when we're running an A/B test, in a true A/B test like this, you are truly testing the variables, where a lot of people think that running 2 campaigns side by side without the A/B test functionality, a lot of people think that gives you an accurate result, but it doesn't because the audiences are shared and worked on between the campaigns. Let's move on forward. After the A/B test rule, there is an audience segment reporting section. Because this is here, I'm going to show you how to access this in your advertiser settings a little bit later, which is on the left-hand side. So we'll get to this a little bit later. Special ad categories. Now, if you are in any special ad category, you 100% need to categorize yourself here. If you are not categorizing yourself in a special ads category, you have a very, very high likelihood of getting rejected. Not only getting rejected, but getting suspended. So if you're talking about social issues, even if just your website talks about social issues, if you are in the housing market, right, like any of these categories, be sure to click what the special category is, because if you don't, you're going to get in trouble. So make sure you select the special ads category. Now, if you're not in one of those categories, if you don't believe you fall into any of these categories, by the way, click this get help for declaring categories. It is actually semi-helpful. If you do go through this workflow, just make sure you select it. You don't want to get in trouble. Okay. Down to the ad set level. So a lot of this starts to become what we've talked about in our prospecting setups, our retargeting setups, etc. But I'm just going to give you some of the options here. So for conversion location, this is basically where are we sending the traffic? Where are we sending the people that see our ads? What are we considering a conversion? Now, this changed very recently. We have website and app, website and in-store, website and calls, and then we have the single conversion actions, which are web, app, and messaging apps. Almost everyone is going to be running direct to website, but for those who have apps, for those who have in-store locations, for those who take a lot of calls, use the multiple conversion actions. I was literally just at a Facebook conference yesterday, and we went through some of the insights that they've seen so far on multiple conversion actions, and they're pretty promising. I can't say I've tested them too heavily, but it is actually pretty promising from some pretty legit people that I talked to. So website conversion actions, they're going to say, whoa, you can get 13% lower cost per result. Like, don't stress about this kind of stuff. Just do what's right for your business. Don't worry about little things like this, because if it's not actually applicable to your business, it's going to hurt you, not help you. Or our performance goals. So in conversion goals, we now have a lot of options, more than ever, I believe. Let's go backwards here. So we're an e-commerce business. Our main objective is to get sales, right? Your main objective is not to get impressions, not reach, not link clicks, not landing page views. If you're running any of these upper funnel metrics, I really want you to think again. If your agency is telling you to do this, if you're just a media buyer watching this, thinking that this is the right thing to do to build top of funnel, well, the reality is conversion campaigns build the best top of funnel for you while also driving conversions. Let's go through the two conversion events that matter the most. Maximize number of conversions and maximize value of conversions. I have an entire section on the advanced operating around this. I'll give you the 1 second on this. Number of conversions gets people to buy as much as possible. Value of conversions gets people to buy as much value, as much revenue as possible. In most cases, I'm still on number of conversions. However, we have been testing more heavily on value of conversions because they've allowed 7-day click, 1-day view on value of conversions, and we've seen them to be very successful. Okay. Next piece is data set. This is just where you select your pixel, nothing fancy here. Conversion event. The hot topic. Let's run add to carts. Let's run initiate checkouts. No, let's run purchases. Facebook runs what's called standard events. Standard events are the backbone for every single advertiser that has ever run ads, period. Standard events specifically got very, very important in 2021 after iOS 14.5, which I know was a turning point for a lot of people. Basically, every advertiser has the purchase event. Every advertiser has the initiate checkout, the add to cart, the add to wish list, the complete registration. So those events are not technically shared, but the indications or the user activity on those events is shared. So what that means is that Facebook knows, or Meta knows, if I, as a consumer, am a very high purchase person, I purchase a lot, let's say, they know I'm worth a lot. But if I'm just someone who adds products to cart and then bounces, then they know I add to cart a lot. So if you add the add to cart objective on your side, and you think that's going to drive you purchases because it's cheap to get add to carts, what you're actually doing is just finding people who add to cart. You're not finding people who add to cart then purchase, because if they added to cart then purchased, then they'd be in the purchase event. So never get this twisted. In literally 99.99, I mean, you have to be 1 in a 10,000 case to not be running the purchase event. The very rare cases are when like you have like ultra high end, like customizable jewelry, you require a phone call, something like that. And in those cases, you're actually lead gen. You're not even e-commerce, right? In those lead gen cases, you need to have phone calls, you need to have workflows set up. There's a lot more involved. The purchase event here is king for sure. Okay. Cost per result goal. So for cost per result goal, this is when we enable cost caps. Now, I actually don't know why I can't click this right now. Probably because I selected something earlier that's abnormal, but either way, your cost per result goal is your cost cap. I break down why cost caps are important, how cost caps are set up in a later section, but just note that this is where you would technically set up your cost cap. Next piece is value rules. We also have an entire section on value rules also, but this is where you can create your value rules. This is where you can set your value rules, and you do that at an ad set level. It's a great way to underbid or overbid on certain cohorts that you know have better or worse lifetime value. Attribution model. This is the first time we're able to select between standard attribution and incremental attribution, and everyone could do it now. Standard attribution is what everyone knows: 7-day click, 1-day view, or 7-day click, or just 1-day click. Incremental attribution is a new model, completely new model, that is 100% focused on would this conversion, let me say that right, would this conversion have happened with or without this ad? So basically, I'll read it verbatim: optimize delivery for incremental conversions using models that predict whether a conversion is caused by an ad. We have found this to be the most strict model. I would recommend this for high spending brands, especially brands that have huge social followings, like 200,000 followers plus. If you don't, just run standard attribution, and I break all this down again in those advanced optimizations. Okay, attribution settings. In most cases, we're running 7-day click, 1-day view. Just so everyone understands this, your attribution settings are going to tell you in the ad platform how many conversions you're getting. You could always look via the breakdowns at different attribution settings, including the incremental attribution model. So don't get too caught up with what you put here. The most important thing is that you're telling Facebook that you want to count, or what you want to count. So whatever you select here is what Facebook is perceiving as an event that it counts for. So here's where things get twisted. If you're one of those brands with that big social following, then 1-day view might get inflated. 50% of your conversions might be coming through view through. And if 50% of your conversions come through view through, then Facebook sees those view throughs just as strong as the click throughs. Click throughs might actually be driving incremental value to your business, where view through may have happened without you doing anything. So it's a fine line, and we need to make sure that for view throughs and for click throughs, we're setting these up in a way that are best served for your business. In most cases, we are setting up just like I have on screen: 7-day click, 1-day view, engage view. Doesn't matter if you have view through on. Okay. Moving down to budget and schedule. So budget and schedule, this is a fantastic setting that we're going to talk through. Basically, ad set spending limits is a great tool to use if you want to force or max out budget on a specific ad set. This is great. I break this down in our entire pack system, how that works, some of the advanced optimizations there. But basically how this works is I could set a budget limit. Let's say I set $100 here. That means that at minimum, this ad set, well, that doesn't make sense because my campaign budget is only $25. But if I set this to $10, this means that at minimum, my ad set here is going to spend $10 every single day. After it spends the $10 every day, the rest of the budget for the campaign is distributed based on the campaign budget optimization algorithm. On the flip side, we could do the same thing on daily maximum to say, hey, we only want to spend a certain amount on this absolute max. This is great for like new launches, great for creative you invested a lot on. It's also great if you have a lot of ad sets and if you are spending a lot and a couple creatives are tending to be hogging things, but you don't want to have this on everything, and you definitely don't want to leave these on forever. These are just mechanisms basically to get the ball rolling for your algorithm. Okay, let's get rid of that. Next part here is your schedule. This is just your start date and your end date if you need to. In most cases, we leave end dates open, but if you do need to set a proper start date, that's fine. Budget scheduling is the same thing we saw at the campaign level. And in fact, this pushes us up back to the campaign level. So I don't know if you saw that, but if I go back down to here, if I click budget scheduling, it says add entries and campaign setup, and it actually brings us to the campaign setting. Okay, audiences. Now, again, I go through every audience detail in another video. This is literally just to show you all like what the settings are. First, we can click here to use a saved audience. This is where we can potentially click an audience we've used prior and save audiences at scale. Most of the time I don't do this. Some people like to. It's preference. It doesn't make a difference. In your controls, there's two big toggles here. You're either going to have an Advantage Plus audience, which is what we have right here, or you're going to click this button called Further Limit the Reach of Your Ads. I'm going to show you what happens. When you click Switch Setup, you're going to see all our settings change here. So I'm going to go back to the recommended setup and I'll show you sort of what happens here. The recommended setup is using signals. They're using your suggestions here as literal suggestions. If you put an audience in, if you put an exclusion in, if you put an age in, they're just using these as suggestions. So if, for example, I put my minimum age as whatever number I do, it is technically going to use that minimum age as a true restriction, but I can't put an age range like I can in the further refined section. If you put exclusions in, these will in fact be excluded. If I put an audience in here, you're going to see this opens up a whole new group. So without clicking that drop down that I did, it's just going to be full broad. If I click suggest an audience, whatever I put in here, you're going to note these are different. So these are restrictions up top here. These are actual targeting settings. Whatever I put in this targeting settings, these are suggestions. We will reach people beyond these settings when it's likely to improve performance. So even if I said, hey, I only want to target 18 to 22, it's going to go beyond that. In fact, you could see, even though it says an estimated audience size is lower, it could still freely go beyond this. Okay. So for this case, we're just going to leave it. Custom audience exclusions. Again, these are suggestions. So be careful here. Once you click further limit the reach of your ads and you click switch setup, everything switches. These now go from suggestions to actual targeting. So in this case, if I went from 18 to 25 here, this toggle is going to come up, which is used as a suggestion, which is still trying to get us to adopt to that Advantage Plus style. In this case, we could quickly unselect that. And now we are no longer Advantage Plus. Advantage Plus is now off. Custom audiences, whatever we put here, is actually going to be targeted as long as you do the same thing and click the right suggestion. So if we just put in like an add to cart audience here, you're going to see how it says use as a suggestion. Unselect that guy. Make sure we're not using as a suggestion unless you want to. If you want to just use it as a seed audience, you can, but make sure you understand that this here will expand the audience way beyond what we have here, way beyond. Same goes for all your detailed targeting. These are in fact suggestions now. So if I just click any of these are 100% suggestions. As you can see here, we have no option anymore to make these definitive targeting. These are always suggestions now. Okay. Moving on down to placements. Now placements have basically gotten to the point where everyone uses all placements. There's some cases where you should use all placements. There's some cases where you shouldn't. First things first, device and operating systems. In almost all cases, we are using all operating systems. If you look through your reporting and you see, terrible desktop performance or terrible mobile performance, sure, go ahead and make the switch. But in most cases, we're using all of them. For platforms, again, in most cases, we're using all of these. Do not make a non-data-driven decision. Even though you might think, oh man, Messenger is like so small, or Threads are so small, I don't need to be there. Look at your data. Look at your click. You look at your incremental data. And if it proves to be valuable, then keep it on. In most cases, we do keep these on. Placement controls. This is your individual placements that you can select. Again, most of these do get kept on all the time. Skippable ads, we always include as well. In terms of brand safety, so this is a hot topic these days. This moved from default at moderate inventory to expanded inventory. I think this is likely just because the unfortunate state of so much content being political, so much content being bad in the world. So I think if they kept this at moderate inventory, a lot of your ads will only show on like good things. And expanded inventory really allows them to monetize their platform more. I have seen no difference in performance between moderate and expanded inventory, although you could try out both if you want to. Most people will keep this as default. Audience network ads, again, same piece here. This is something I would actually consider going down to limited, but you could still run expanded inventory. It probably won't make too much of a difference. Everything else here, block list, content type exclusions, and topic exclusions could all be set at the advertiser campaign level and publisher list. Honestly, I haven't set any of these in years. They're very unlikely to be necessary unless you are running something very restrictive. Suggested ads don't mean a thing. Skip them all. Never import. Okay, let's go to ads. For ads, one of the most important things that you could do if you are running whitelisting is to select a partnership ad. Now, basically, what a partnership ad does is it allows you to hook in the influencer plus your brand together to show a shared experience. I don't have the ability to click it right now because I don't have assets loaded up into here, but essentially you can show both the influencer that's posted your ad, their handle connected to your handle. Partnership ads have proven to be very, very effective, very strong way of marketing. And if you do have those relationships with influencers or UGC, I would recommend it. For the identity here, now these are fairly straightforward, but this is where you're selecting your Facebook page, your Instagram page, and if you have a Threads profile, your Threads profile. I would just, in all cases, select these. We're gonna start getting into some AI stuff. So recently, Facebook has added a lot of new abilities in the ad section, in the ad upload section. For branding, I keep this as inactive right now, to be completely transparent. But just to show you guys what this is putting you in, or giving the AI your brand tone, your brand guidelines, basically. Not the worst thing to do, but it's just not something we select for most of our clients because we're totally white glove at this point. Ad setup. You're gonna have two options here that really matter. I don't really use Creative Hub Mockup. There's really two options here that matter. Create a new ad, which we'll go through, use existing post. If you click use existing post, you're then gonna be prompted to select a post down here, which means you're gonna scour through your Instagram or scour through your Facebook page and select a post you wanna promote. Again, in most cases, we are using create a new ad. Let's go through it. First things first, manual upload versus Advantage Plus Catalog. I broke down before what Advantage Plus Catalog does, basically showing your catalog ads. For your format, you have four options, two that matter. First, flexible ads. Do not use flexible ads. We have not seen it outperform. Basically, what flexible ads does in very short is it allows Facebook to crop your image, crop your video, make adjustments to your video, and it replaced dynamic creative. Not something I suggest, not something I like. I have seen it cut off a lot of creative, a lot of important parts of creative. Not a fan. Yet, you never know. Single image or video and carousel are the two most important. Single image is literally single image or video on one single placement. This is the most standard thing you see. Carousel is, of course, a carousel ad. I don't need to go through this in too much detail. Collection. Collections work for some people. You have to create an instant experience when you actually build a collection. In most cases, I would not suggest using collection ads unless you've proven that they work prior, but really single image and videos plus carousels are the most dominant placements where you get the most reach, where you get the most scale. There's a reason that brands use these predominantly. Multi-advertiser ads. Basically, this allows you to show your ads alongside other ads in the same ad unit. So your brand plus another brand next to each other. I go through in the advanced optimizations my true thoughts here. You could also set a schedule on your ad. I don't do this in 99% of cases, but if you have an ad that's specific to a promotion that you're just layering in or that only lasts 3 or 4 days or something, go ahead, set your schedule. All will be good. Okay, for actual creative uploads here. This creative setup, this uploading section has changed drastically. I'm going to walk you through this pretty quickly. First things first. You should normally have a source URL, which you can see up here, which would then allow a lot of this to actually be populated in, specifically for promotions. So you should have your promotions connected via Shopify as long as you're using the correct integrations, which most people do. If you don't see a promotion in here, go ahead and manually add that promotion. Really easy. It's going to show up underneath your ad in some cases when it's likely to improve performance. Really solid placement. Branding, we went through this before. It's the same module that I was talking about prior. Site links, very important now. So for these site links, these are going to show up underneath your ad unit right here, and you're going to be able to select the specific site links that apply to your product. If you have one product, this is easy. This is cake. You're going to run your 3 or 4 site links, done deal. If you do not just have 1 or 2 products or 4 products, then your site links are going to have to be custom to that product, meaning you're going to have to do this basically every single time. Huge pain in the ass, totally worth it. It does improve performance. Last piece here is products. This is again just showing your ad and your product underneath your ad. You have to do the same thing you did with site links with your products. Moving to media. Once you select your actual media to upload, 3 crops that you have. You care the most about your square and your vertical crops. Your square crop is going to show up in feed most of the time. Your vertical crop is going to show up in reels most of the time, especially for video. Your horizontal crop, take a sip of coffee to tell you guys that it doesn't matter that much. If you build out a horizontal version of an ad, good on you. If you don't build out a horizontal ad, don't stress it. These are going to show up somewhere around 2% of the time. It's not a big deal to me. In many cases, I just keep the square image here, let it rip. Next piece is all of your text, all of your ad copy. What I recommend doing is actually creating 5 primary text. And then after you create those primary texts, click generate variations for getting another 5 more AI generated text. You could edit the AI generated text. They tend to be pretty strong these days. Same thing on headlines, 5 headlines. And then if you do come up, if it gives you the option for AI generated headlines, get those in there. We want to max out on our headlines. Descriptions, again, get your 5 descriptions in here. Descriptions can actually be like just bonuses in many cases. I used to love to say things like plus get free shipping, plus get X, plus get Y. Sometimes that helps in the descriptions. And if you really want to get expansive on your description, you sure can. But in most cases, people used to use the description as like this really big thing to add a lot of information. It doesn't even show up all the time now, so don't stress it too much. 4 call to actions. There's basically 2 that matter, and it is learn more and shop now. Shop now is by far my favorite. It is the most direct. People that click shop now are committing in a micro way. So I prefer shop now in most cases. Moving through the next piece is image generation. We are not using this. If you want to build true creative with AI, not only do we have a section on this later in this course, but like use GPT, use ArcAds, use really anything but this right now. This is just not up to snuff quite yet. And lastly is enhancements. These enhancements are changing all of the time. So much so that literally what I show you right now is probably not going to apply for later, like 2 weeks from now. They're constantly changing. But I'll give you a good idea here. You basically want to include enhancements that you legitimately think will improve performance. Don't worry about what Facebook says. So I'm not animating my images. I don't think that's a good experience for the consumer. Do I want to show products underneath? Yes. Do I want to add overlays? Yes. Do I want Facebook to visually touch up my ad? No, I don't. I don't want, perfect example, which was just on screen, I don't want them to use my square placement on a vertical format when I've already uploaded a vertical format. So no visual touch-ups. I don't add music. I think it's stupid. Some people have other opinions there. I don't add music. I think that's weird. Why would I let someone put music that's not brand related on? It just feels weird. Site links, 100% yes. We want to get more people, more options to our website. Image animation, absolutely not. Again, same reasons as 3D animation and visual touch-ups. We don't want them editing anything. Text improvements. This is one thing I actually do like. It refines your text when it's more applicable to a person. So if someone really responds well to really short copy versus long copy, it's able to, create different features for people. I think that's solid. Enhanced CTA, yes. Enhanced CTA is really, really solid because it will include phrases that we've included in our copy as the headline, just like it says here, start shopping today. But if I did something completely different, like get the exclusive, it could show that here as well, which I think is great. You could also customize this, which I think is pretty good to see, right? These are new ones that they're adding in. So all solid here. Great. That's everything for our enhancements. And actually, we just set up most of the ad there. The last few pieces are in your destination. So your destination is pretty straightforward. In most cases, right, we're just sending to our website. Maybe you're sending to a product page. Maybe you're sending to a landing page. We do not optimize website destination. If you click this button, Facebook can change where you send your traffic. You should send your traffic to where you want to. And for your website URL, don't include your UTMs in here. Just let this rip. And if you have like a weird website, I know you guys a lot of this is blurred out for you right now, but if you have like a weird website or like you have to use like a couple slashes in there, it feels funky, just shorten things down in your display link to make it look a little bit easier. Browser add-ons, in most cases, we're not selecting these. However, as I mentioned before, if something applies uniquely to your business, go ahead. Use Shop to personalize buyer journey. No. Most of the time we don't use Shop. We want to send traffic direct to website. For your event details, if you do have an event, if this is like truly a timely event, yes, go ahead. Most of the time we're not selecting events unless we're running a big sale. For tracking website events, make sure you're set up. If you have offline events, make sure you're set up. App events, make sure you're set up. You just literally need to click these and select your proper data set. Your URL parameters, this is where you set your UTM parameters. If you use UTM parameters, which would be very relevant if you're using something like a Triple Whale, a Hyros, a Google Analytics to measure your information, then plug them in here. We don't really have like a you must do it this way, just this is the spot that I want to tell you guys you have to do it. Okay, that's all our campaign, ad set, and ad settings. Let's go through a couple other important settings. In your advertiser settings, there are first your account controls. You should not select these unless you must. So unless you have a restriction, you should not set these. Basically, when you set these without restriction, Facebook is going to give you a little hammer. You don't want that. Never want the Facebook hammer. My business can only advertise in specific locations. If you can, in fact, only advertise in specific locations, select this. If you advertise age-restricted goods, you have to select this, but only do this if you actually have to restrict yourself. Don't do this because you don't want to target 22-year-olds. Do this because you sell alcohol and therefore it's illegal for you to target anyone under 21. My business restricts advertising to some audience to protect its brand. Again, anytime you do this, you're basically telling Facebook, hey, there's something wrong with my brand. There's some restriction on my brand, and you're going to get a little flag on the back end. But do it if you need to. My business doesn't show us ads to its own employees. Doesn't matter. We just let this happen. This is essentially free. It doesn't matter. Placement controls. Same thing as before. Only select these if you must. Don't select these if you just feel like it. Value rules. We've gone through this in an entire another section, but this is where you set your value rules. And then for meta verified, if you are trying to get meta verified, which is an okay thing to do, it has benefits and not benefits, oddly. You can select it right here. For your Advantage Plus Creative, now this is where new things get added all the time. As you can see right here, new things got added recently. And we have to select the option if we want to test new creative enhancements. Always unselect this. You don't want to be a guinea pig. If the feature that they're rolling out is strong, then we will find out eventually because it will be added as a functional feature for the entire business or for the entire Facebook ads. For audience segments, this is important. This is where you're setting up your audience segments for the first time. Now, I have gone through this, exactly how to do this, how to set up your audience segments, but just to keep it short, you're setting your engaged audience here, you're setting your existing customers here. These are going to fall into your ad set and your campaign. Everything else here, to be honest, is going to waste your time, but there's a couple other settings here that some people might apply to: default beneficiary, data sets, shops reporting, and name templates. The only other place that I want to mention in terms of settings for everyone is in your account overview. Some people land on this page and they think they should start clicking get started and that this point opportunity score means something. Just chill out. It usually doesn't mean something. One thing I like you to look at here is right up top here. Your amount spent in your last 7 days and your spend in the learning phase. As you can see from this account, we've only spent 11% in the learning phase. It's a very healthy amount in the learning phase. If you pop into here and you see 90%, you're doing too much in your ad account. Now, if you just rehauled your whole thing because you watched this entire program, then sure, maybe for a few days, it's going to be 90%. But if you're constantly at 85, 90%, you're in this cycle where you can't get out. You got to just let things chill out. So anyway, that wraps up all of the most important settings for campaigns, ad sets, ads, and account level settings. I hope this helped.